Good morning. My name is Victoria Adams, and I am the Operations Manager of the Herkimer County Industrial Development Agency, the agency. I am also the hearing officer for this public hearing, and we are holding this public hearing to solicit comments on the proposed review and potential amendments to the agency's uniform tax exemption policy, the policy. I would like to note that as required by New York State law, the agency is recording this public hearing. I intend to provide general information on the purpose of this public hearing, the agency's legal authority to hold this public hearing, and the agency's next steps. I will then open up this public hearing for comment. Legal authorization and powers of the agency. The provisions of Chapter 1030 of Laws of 1969 of New York, constituting Title I of Article 18A of the General Municipal Law, Chapter 24 of the Consolidated Laws of New York as amended, and Chapter 410 of the 1970 laws of the state of New York as amended, codified as Section 898 of said general municipal law, collectively the Act, authorize the agency to promote, develop, encourage, and assist in the acquiring, constructing, reconstructing, improving, maintaining, and equipping and furnishing of manufacturing, warehousing, research, commercial, and industrial facilities, among others. Section 858 of the Act further authorizes the agency to make certain appointments and approve certain administrative matters. Purpose of this public hearing. Pursuant to Section 874 of the Act, the agency has established the policy which is acceptable to the provision of any financial assistance to any project. The agency has undertaken a review of the policy and is considering amending it. Pursuant to Section 874(4) of the Act, the agency is required to solicit input from the affected taxing jurisdictions regarding the adoption of a uniform tax exemption policy. Therefore, on May 20th, 2025, the agency authorized the holding of this public hearing to solicit such input. Pursuant to such authorization, the Chief Executive Officer of the agency caused notice of this public hearing to be A, mailed on June 5th, 2025 to the Chief Executive Officers of each affected taxing jurisdiction identified on Schedule A to this script and to be inserted into the record, collectively the affected taxing jurisdiction. B, published on June 6, 2025 in the Times Telegram, a newspaper of general circulation available to the residents of Herkimer County, New York. And C, posted on June 4th, 2025 on the agency's website and on a public bulletin board located at the offices of the agency, located at 420 East Jerome Street, Suite 101A, in the town of Herkimer, Herkimer County, New York. A summary of the proposed amendments to the policy were included as part of the notice and this public hearing, and a draft of the proposed amendments were included in the letter mailed to the affected taxing jurisdictions as referenced above. Copies of the notice of this public hearing and the proposed amendments to the policy are available on the table. The purpose of this public hearing is to solicit input with respect to the amendments to the policy. We are not here to answer questions, although in the course of the hearing, we will consider questions if we have the information to answer the questions and there is sufficient time to consider such questions. Now, unless there is an objection, I am going to suggest waiving the full reading of the notice of this public hearing and instead request that the full text of the notice of this public hearing be inserted into the recording of this public hearing. The agency will consider the amendments to the policy at a subsequent meeting of the agency, currently scheduled for June 24th, 2025 at 8 a.m. And at such meeting, the agency will also consider the comments received at this hearing. Such meeting, like all meetings of the agency, will be open to the general public. Written comments. The notice of this public hearing indicated that written comments could be addressed to John J. Piesick, Chief Executive Officer. At this time, the agency has not received written comments from any of the affected taxing jurisdictions. We will keep the comment period open until 5 p.m. Wednesday, June 18th, 2025. Any comments received by such time will be included in the record to be considered by the agency. Remarks by the affected taxing jurisdictions. If there were any affected taxing jurisdictions present at the public hearing, they can provide comments now. There are no attendees present today. I will now open this public hearing for public comment. There are none. I ascertain that there is no one present who wishes to comment and ascertain that there At least 15 minutes have passed since the scheduled time of the public hearing. Being no further comment, I now close the public hearing at 8:15 a.m. Thank you for attending.